Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special 1v1 game in between kauP and Szalami. If you look at the bottom right of the screen, you see a map that you probably never have seen before in Age of Empires 4. We are on Arena. So let me introduce you and let me tell you how we have gotten to this map here. So we are playing on the public update preview branch, which is basically the beta of the new patch that's coming out in the foreseeable future. And that patch introduces modding, including custom map creation. Some of those tools are already available for some select people. The public update preview is available for everybody, I think, until this Friday. But some of the creation tools, so map creators, mod creators, are available to some selected modders from the community. And these people have been working pretty hard on making some very fun custom maps, and this is exactly what we are going to take a look at today. kauP versus Szalami is going to be a show match in here. I decided to put this together. It's going to be a play all 5 show match, and I'll upload this one by one. Each game will have either very unique map that was custom made or something that was added by the developers and we haven't seen before because they're new maps. And we're starting off with Arena. Spawning in on the left side is going to be Szalami, playing as the red HRE, and on the right side it's going to be kauP, playing as the blue English. This is a civilization matchup where there's a lot to talk about, but the more appealing thing, I think, to talk about right now is the map itself. So, Arena has a massive sub-community when it comes to Age of Empires 2. It is a map where you basically have the edges of the map surrounded with forest, and the players start stonewalled, both of them, regardless of the civilizations. Now you could say, hey, this map is boring because players just start with stonewall, so they'll boom, but you would be wrong. First of all, Age of Empires 2, Arena is a very popular map. It's something that has basically sub-community. Some people hate it, some people love it, and the reason why people love it is because it has some crazy possible strategies. So it's completely different from open maps, and that's what makes it very appealing. Now in Age of Empires 4, that's also applicable, because while you do have stone walls, you have to keep something in mind. Siege towers are a thing. And because you have these gates out here, I'm just going to show it real quickly. The gates allow the enemies that got on your walls with siege towers to walk into your base. So if you think that this is going to be about 25 minutes of booming, you're probably wrong. Looks like kauP is starting up with a mill up north. He's grabbing wheelbarrow. And on the other side, we're going to have the Alken Chapel coming in for Szalami. Now, you're probably noticing that the overlay I'm not using is not the N4C one. As far as I know, the N4C overlay is somewhat limited right now. The developer of the overlay is working on making it accessible for everybody in like a reasonable way, so it's general looking, because that overlay was made specifically for NAC. So for now, we're back to the old spectating tools, but hopefully in the foreseeable future, we'll have that new tool available to us as well. Game sound might be a little too loud. Hopefully it's not that terrible. It's a new branch, which means that the settings that I have, in theory, they're the same as in the game I had. But I just want to double check that the sound is correct. Yeah, apologies for that. If the game sound is a little too loud, I'm sorry. As I said, technically the settings should be saved between the different branches of the game, but it's possible something got messed up. Hopefully the sound is going to be alright. With that being said, we do have kauP mining gold up north. He's on sheep as well with a couple of villagers, but he has some farming going on for himself. Has the resources needed for Feudal Age, whereas on the other side, Szalami is already going up to Feudal Age with the Alken Chapel. That's a beautiful spot for that building. Look at this. This Alken Chapel will cover the wood line, the villagers under the town center, the gold, even the berries. So beautiful spot for that Alken Chapel. So talking about civilizations over here, actually before we do that, let's talk about the map itself. So we have 3 sacred sites in the middle. As I said, the map is surrounded by forests. The middle is empty with minimal elevation, minimal cliffs, just some resource deposits, gold, stone, wood, and 3 sacred sites. 5 relics are scattered across the map. And those, of course, are things that players will fight for. It looks like one hunt is always on the outside, and there is no hunt on the inside of the player's bases. Actually, I'm wrong. There's a hunt that doesn't show up on the minimap. Now, I do have to highlight that, first of all, these are community-made custom maps. Second, these are early versions, so don't expect them to be perfectly polished. It looks like there is hunt inside the player's bases, but it doesn't show up on the minimap. So one hunt inside, one hunt outside. Szalami is up to Feudal Age with the Alken Chapel. He's got the Holy Roman Empire here, which is a great civilization for this map, I think. It has a powerful economy. And am I seeing an Abbey of the Kings? Yes, I do. Abbey of the Kings coming in here from kauP on the right side. Meanwhile, on the other side, as I said, HRE, very powerful civilization, good economy for Szalami. If he can get to an early Imperial, which could be helped by the fact that he's protected by stone walls, the Palace of Swabia, of course, could do wonders. One of the other things that I want to highlight is that because we're playing on the public update preview branch, it also means that the game balance is the new game balance. So quite a lot of adjustments were made to a lot of things. There are some massive balance changes, especially related to the Chinese, but also heavy changes to Abbasids, some smaller changes to other civilizations as well. The most notable thing for us here today will be that the Regnitz Cathedral only has a capacity of 2 relics now. So instead of 3, you can only garrison 2 relics into the cathedral now. And the other thing is that the Borgrave Palace was completely redesigned, so we'll have to see if it's going to be utilized. Some other stuff were also nerfed and tinkered with the HRE, but those are probably the most major or most significant components of the changes. Double stable out there for kauP, no cavalry coming out just yet from him. Whereas on the other side, it looks like Szalami is just chilling out there hunting. He made a second prelate, so he can go for the hunt, and he's dropping a second mill. A little surprising out there. Not exactly sure why he needs a second mill, but he definitely has the foundation set for it. He's killing all the deer nearby. One of the major things when it comes to the hunting, as you will see in the new patch, is that the carry capacity of villagers was also increased when it comes to hunt, so they have to walk way less, or at least they have to take way less turns to carry in the food. They'll be able to carry much more. Meanwhile, on the other side, double stables are out there, and it looks like we're gonna have some horsemen out for kauP. Of course, he wants to contest map control. He wants to make sure that the relics are not going to fall into the hands of the HRE player out here. Meanwhile, he's got some good food eco with the farms here, 8 farmers working. If you look at the incomes per minute, kauP's food eco is spectacular. But of course, Szalami is just now getting to the hunt with the prelate boosting those villagers, so that food income is also going to skyrocket. Again, the resource bank, Szalami getting close to Castle Age here, whereas for kauP, he's a little further away. He's spending his resources mostly on the horsemen. He's got the Abbey, which means that if the horsemen are damaged, he can send them back home and heal them up. And he also has a ton of sheep to work with, which means that even if he starts running low on food and he can't afford more farms, he can just send a bunch of villagers on sheep. Whereas on the other side for Szalami, he basically has no sheep, so he's heavily reliant on this hunt and the berries, and after that he will be forced to add some more farms. First horseman chasing away the scout of Szalami for the time being. And it looks like we're going to have an early blacksmith coming in for Szalami dropping the first stable right now. Other side, just 2 stables, not a ton of production though for kauP. He's grabbing horticulture as we speak. He's focusing a lot on his feudal age economy, whereas Szalami is going for the castle age here. There goes the Regnitz Cathedral, so no Burgrave Palace for us today. In terms of tournament rules, or well, not really tournament rules, more like showmatch rules, we agreed that both players ban 1 civilization for the opponent, both ban Delhi, and in the 5 games that we'll play, each civilization can be used once for each player. Here come the horsemen, and now Szalami is gonna have to go back behind his gates, so kauP is gonna have map control, Szalami is gonna have to start adding some cavalry to fight this off, and it looks like Szalami did not expect kauP to have some horsemen out here, and this is going to restrict his map control quite a bit. Now, when it comes to the stone walls, you do have 1 main gate in the middle, and that's basically it. Which means that if you want to get out, you either need to mine some stone and place a stone gate elsewhere, or you'll have to fight for this position, and here comes kauP, he's dropping a tower right in front of the opponent's base. There's a face-off between the scout and the enemies outside the gate. Now, if you have some archers, you could place them on those walls and of course push these guys back. But there is no archers at all for Szalami. He's up to Castle Age, so he's going to start making knights. On the other side, we do have a second town center coming in for kauP, so he's going very heavy on that feudal age economy. Whereas on the other side, his opponent is of course playing a fast castle, slowly running out of hunt though, so he's gonna have to start thinking about what next when it comes to the food income. Horseman still pushing back the scout of Szalami. The tower is getting close, but with the first knights coming in, I think Szalami is going to be able to push this villager away. Prelates were dispatched to heal up the scout here, and since there's not a single spearman for kauP, I don't think that he can stop 2 Castle Age knights with 4 horsemen from Feudal Age. Indeed, here come the knights. Villager is going to get pushed away and likely killed. kauP sent back into his own base here, and other prelates are moving out. In the new patch, the prelates also receive a speed buff, so as you will see, they are freaking runners, man. Look at this. Prelate speed 1.24 compared to 1.88 of the horseman, but come on, that's a horseman. So a cavalry unit is still going to be able to chase down the prelate, but it's actually much more difficult to chase down prelates now. Another villager is coming out here for kauP. He's really trying to get that tower up here, but it looks like Szalami is getting out for the relics. He's going for the one on the right side. There's a tower out here for kauP, so he's trying to tower the relics in the middle, but this arrow slits upgrade will be just a little too late. You see, it is 6 seconds away, and by the time it comes in, I think the prelate will be able to get away. Arrow slits? First arrow comes out, but nope, the prelate is gonna get away. There's no way the tower kills him. In the middle, Volo attempt coming in here by Szalami. He gets the villager. He gets the villager, and he's gonna be like, yoink. He got the vill in the middle. You're starting to see why in Age of Empires 2 players love this map, or at least some players love this map. Some hate it, some love it, but it's because you have so many possibilities for cheesy gameplay, so many possibilities for crazy ideas, and there is something special in there. 2 horsemen heavily damaged here for kauP. He's probably going to send them back home to the Abbey. As you see, he's healing up his damaged horsemen back at home. Dropping the barracks for spearmen. He's not far away from Castle Age, and villager-wise, it's 40 versus 32. Looks like my POV switching hotkeys aren't working, so I'll have to just manually click that. But slight villager lead right now for kauP. That's definitely going to help him. And, of course, the fact that he's got the farming eco is also helpful. Regni's Cathedral now with 2 relics inside. I have no idea how this turned out to be 83 per minute. I think this is going to start rising as more gold is trickled in. That's what I'm suspecting. So we'll have to see if this indicator increases. Yeah. So it's just like the actual income per minute indicator. It's going to be affected when the drop-off happens, basically. So when those relics actually give you the next boost, it's going to increase it. So now we're going up to 600 gold per minute, because the gold income is going to be the same, but you can now only put in 2 relics in there. Szalami's resources are looking pretty decent, so he could think about Imperial for the Palace of Swabia. Whereas on the other side, looks like it is the White Tower for kauP. This is a landmark that you commonly go for if you go for 2 town center feudal age with the English, but there is a third one even for kauP, so he's not messing around. That's gonna be free TCs. Whereas for our red player, Szalami, he's going for relics. He already has 2, and I think he's bringing back some more. There is one on the right side that is unclaimed. He could pick this up anytime, and he could technically pick this up as well, although, look at this! Was that relic dropped, or did it spawn like this? Because there's a tower right next to it, and poor relic just got tilted to the right side. Speaking of tilted, Szalami would probably be very tilted if he lost those prelates to those horsemen, but for the time being, those horsemen are able to avoid any kind of encounter, and it looks like we'll have the other prelate moving out for relics. Knights are sent in, so the outpost is gonna get taken down. And kauP, almost up to Castle Age, he's switching to Spearman. Szalami, now with the appropriate amount of gold income for Regnitz Cathedral, you see it's up to 600. It's sort of stagnating, but that's just because this is the way that the averaging works out for the income per minute. It's actually 600 per minute steadily. Szalami is sitting at 35 villagers, whereas on the other side, kauP is going to have 53, so he's boosting up that villager count nice and easy. And one thing that we will have to highlight is that the Holy Roman Empire also received a nerf to the Palace of Swabia. So now the production speed bonus is no longer 75%, it's just going to be 66%. And the discount is also reduced. So the Palace of Swabia is not as powerful as it used to be. It's still great, but it's a little weaker than what it was. Blacksmith coming in for kauP. Looks like he's going to be operating with 3 TCs, double barracks, double stables, going knight and spearman. He's gonna have to start contesting map control soon, because his opponent is going to start capturing sacred sites, and as you see, there's already an outpost over here for Szalami. In fact, he's got an outpost on all but one of those sacred sites. This one has a fortified outpost from kauP that's probably going to prevent the villagers from dropping a tower here until the knights are ready to clean it up. Knights are coming in for a cleanup though. It's going to take some time until the tower gets taken down, because it's a fortified tower, but it's still this many knights, and of course the scout should be able to clean it up, no problem. Looking at the relics, there is going to be 2 more relics being brought in here by Szalami. He's got 2 in the monastery. Fun fact, with the HRE you could garrison them into castles as well, and that's going to give you the gold trickle still. Looks like the horsemen are trying to intercept the villager here. Knights are adjusting position, and it looks like the villager is getting away for the time being. Villager starting the tower right now. You gotta be careful, because that villager is now under fire by the tower, and the next arrow should kill it. Indeed, Szalami is going to lose that villager. kauP dancing back and forth, now mixing in his own knights as well. And he's got a network of castles affecting those knights. New knights are moving in. Numbers are still favoring Szalami though, but many of his knights are heavily damaged. And at this point, kauP is just trying to prevent the opponent from taking down this tower. I don't think he can stop this though. He only has 3 knights as opposed to 12. I see some crossbows being added right now by kauP. As you see over here at the bottom left, we now have Global Q, one of the other new additions to the game here. And with that, we can see his entire unit queue. Spearmen are now coming in. The tower is on fire, so unless there is a villager coming in to repair, it's going to get burned down. But the spearmen should be able to push away the knights for the time being, and at least prevent the opponent from dropping a tower here. Because ultimately Szalami wants to capture the sacred sites, I do believe. Any villagers coming in? No villagers apparently for kauP, which means that this tower is slowly gonna get burned down. 75 villagers for kauP right now. Szalami sitting at a confident 40. And kauP is getting close to Imperial. Meanwhile, on the other side, you already have Imperial for Szalami. There is the Palace of Swabia, and as you see, now it's going to take 6 seconds to train the villager and 17 food. It's a slight nerf to the Palace of Swabia, but it's still powerful, so we should see Szalami catching up on the villager department quite swiftly. Double range is in as well for kauP. He's getting close to Imperial himself. Looking at the resource incomes, one of the problems that Szalami has is that he is just now starting to add farms, as you see. He's placing them around the Aachen Chapel. Whereas on the other side, the opponent has a great farming eco thanks to playing the English Civ. He didn't even touch his hunt inside his base, and now we're seeing a stone gate being dropped on the right side. There's still one relic to be picked up. I wonder if this is something that kauP is going to grab for himself. And it looks like he also built a gate to the north. So he's building up some gates so he can move out of his base. Szalami is only operating with 1 gate in front of his base. Now, one thing that I have to say, and this is just a side note here, is that neither of these players come from an Age of Empires 2 background, which means that neither of these players really have that much experience with Arena. Of course, even if they had, that would be a different story because it's a different game, but you get my point. Some players would probably have some different ideas based on their experience with Arena in AoE2. Now, I'm a little sad that we didn't see Siege Towers, because I saw another Arena game that was played just before this one. It wasn't part of this show match, but in that game, we did have Siege Towers, so I might actually cast that as a standalone game. With that being said, the Wingard Palace is now coming in for kauP. This is going to allow him to get some very cheap trebuchets on the battlefield, and with the English having the Shattering Projectiles upgrade, you can really capitalize on that cheap trebuchet combination. Meanwhile, on the other side, looks like we do have a University in. All the upgrades are flooding in for Szalami, so you see, he's upgrading his infantry as we speak. Forestry, a little late, but, well, at least it's out there. Infantry now coming in, probably in large numbers. The idea is likely going to be men-at-arms, but this is a tricky matchup, because the English men-at-arms are pretty powerful as well. HRE men-at-arms with the two-handed maces should be able to beat them, because they have a ton of bonus damage against heavy targets. So kauP might need crossbows, kauP might need hand cannoneers. For now, he's making the Wingard army, which is a combination of a longbowman, a spearman, men-at-arms, a knight, and a trebuchet. Which doesn't necessarily sound amazing, but if you look at the cost for it, 100 food, 100 wood, and 200 gold, it's a massive discount on a combination like that. So that's the advantage, especially grabbing that cheap trebuchet is valuable. Elite Knights are already in for Szalami. He's pushing away kauP from the middle. Looking at the villager count, 66 for Szalami. kauP is sitting at 99. Both players now up in Imperial. Enclosure is coming in as well for kauP. That's going to give him a ton of gold trickle. And we're entering the stage where the English player's population efficiency on the economy with the enclosures is going to skyrocket his eco. Because one of the most important things with English eco is that once you get this Imperial Age upgrade, which generates some gold per farmer, your gold eco will basically be independent from mining gold, which makes the very population efficient. You don't need as many villagers simply because you can use your farmers to get a lot of gold for yourself. You will see that income per minute for kauP is going to be very good, despite the fact that he might not even have a ton of gold miners in the foreseeable future. He still has a lot of gold to work with outside his base, and he has been slowly creeping up with those towers. Other side, Szalami is also going forward, dropping a castle over here. He's got 2 products boosting those villagers, so all of those should be affected. Army-wise, we are having a lot of barracks come in here. Ton of barracks for Szalami, but no army coming out of it just yet. Looks like he's going for all of those upgrades. He's just going for all the eco upgrades. Whereas for kauP, he's grabbing military upgrades left and right. Elite Spearman, Elite Men-at-Arms, Spring Golden placements on towers as well coming in. He's got a fairly sizable force of Spearmen and Crossbows, but that could be exposed quite easily to Men-at-Arms, that could be exposed quite easily to potentially Mangonel Fire as well. For now, there is not a lot of army coming out for Szalami aside from the initial knights that he has had, but these were made at the beginning of Castle Age. He hasn't made any new army ever since. Big raid coming in on the right side though. Looks like kauP's stone mine here is going to get found. Tower also coming in right next to it by Szalami, and kauP is gonna have to make a run for it. He's got a tower nearby, but I don't think that tower would be able to survive this many knights attacking it, so you will just have to go back home. Looks like Szalami will disengage. He sees the crossbows coming in, tries to burn down the tower, but in the end, I don't think that he can fight this one. He sees the spearman, and this is the momentum that kauP was waiting for. He's coming in with the spears, now with elite. Crossbows also coming in to support. Looks like knights are still trying to jump on the villagers, and they do get a couple of kills. Ultimately, Szalami will have to disengage, and his tower is going to be short-lived here. Here come the spearmen, and this tower is about to get burnt down. Szalami now sees the unit composition of the opponent, though, so he should know that a combination of Men-at-Arms and Landsknechte, or just pure Landsknechte, would beat both of these. Because Landsknechte would kill the crossbows, and they would be able to take down the spearmen as well. And I wonder if that's the plan for Szalami. Indeed, that's the plan. Here come the Landsknechte, the very fragile, high damage output units with area damage. They can wipe out spearmen very easily, and the crossbows struggle to kill them as well, because the crossbows have bonus damage against heavy units, but not against light units. Men-at-Arms will form the first ranks of Szalami here, apparently, and he's taking a decent fight because the crossbows aren't supporting. kauP calling back his forces. As soon as the crossbows can start opening fire on those Men-at-Arms, the Men-at-Arms will be taken down quite easily. But once the Landsknechte arrive, it's a completely different story. Looks like the knights are jumping on the trebuchet here. Great flanking maneuver from Szalami. He takes down the trap, buys himself some more time, takes the fight at the hilltop. This is not necessarily a great one for him. Crossbows wiping out most of those Men-at-Arms, supported by the network of castles bonus. But here come the Landsknechte, and that's not something that kauP has an answer to. So you see, the Men-at-Arms are slowly being ground down, but when these bad boys come in with their two-handed swords, they will just start massacring everything that they have in their path. Spearmen, crossbows alike. Tower fire can help slow them down, because they're very fragile, only 95 HP each. And those are, I think, at full upgrades. Most spearmen are gone. Now the crossbows are getting pushed back. A couple of longbowmen would help immensely though, or even mangonel fire for kauP. Because, as I said, these guys are very fragile, so anything that works against light infantry, talk about longbows, talk about mangonels, will work to great effect against the Landsknechte. Looks like it's full Landsknechte army for Szalami for the time being. He's mixing a couple of Men-at-Arms now. Has full upgrades, as you see. He's got 14 base attack, plus 3 from the 200 weapons upgrade, making it 17. And then plus 6 versus heavy, that's the mace upgrade on those Men-at-Arms. A little difficult to see because these guys are sort of embedded in between Landsknechte, but that guy is having a heavy mace in his hands. Trebuchet now up here at the hilltop for kauP. Knight number is increasing quite steadily. He's got some Stonewall Towers back at home. This is definitely one of the more passive arena games, I must say. It's more like the proking and probing scenario, but obviously the meta is not figured out at all. I'm fairly certain that these players have less than 5 games on this map. This map has been made like 2 days ago at maximum. But I'm curious to see how the meta would develop for this map in the long run, because I can tell you from experience that while the experience on this map is completely different from open maps like Arabia, it could be fun. For a special type of people, this is actually very fun. Being able to sort of play behind stone walls and then go for all the cheeky strats. Either slow build up into late game, or alternatively, as I said, stuff like siege towers, stuff like early ramp pushes, those could all work out. With that being said, we're getting some mangonels on the battlefield for Szalami, so he's knowing that he's going to have to face a couple of longbows against Landsknechte. Mangonels and Landsknechte is a scary composition, but you need something against the anti-siege of the opponent. You need to take down opponent's springolds. kauP is walling up the middle. Szalami does have 2 sacred sites under his control, by the way, so not only does he have 4 relics, he's got 2 in that monastery and 2 in the Regnitz Cathedral, he also has 2 sacred sites. And that's part of the reason why he's got 1800 gold per minute. But as I said, if you look at kauP, he still has 39 gold miners, but ton of that gold income is coming from the farming. Looking at the population, it's 190 for kauP with 134 villagers. On the other side, it's 110 villagers for Szalami. Only 150 population though. His military numbers aren't looking spectacular. He's just not getting out his Landsknechte. Some mangonels are being queued up, so his army numbers will soon skyrocket once those siege weapons appear on the battlefield. In the meantime, walls will be completed by kauP. Multiple towers securing that sacred site, so it's going to be a face-off between the two players with the sacred sites. English do have their trebuchets very dangerous with the shattering projectiles upgrade, so this is going to be difficult for Szalami to push. He needs a couple of Culverin, because if he mixes in Culverins, he's going to be good against mangonels, he's going to be good against trebuchets, springboards of the opponent, and indeed, we're seeing some Culverins appear on the battlefield. I think we're getting ready for a big battle in the middle. kauP ready to open fire with the trebuchets. He's probably targeting that fortified tower. And up north... Wait a second. Yeah, this area is wide open. So kauP could just go for this one. He could have done that a long time ago. Looks like he's not doing it. He's trapping down the middle. I guess this is a diversion. He's trying to make his opponent stay over here in the middle, making him believe that he's going to push this side after taking down the tower, and then just send the army to the north. But I think Szalami has seen that with the towers, especially now seeing all those gold miners being sent out there. I think he's suspecting that a push is coming at that tower. Castle being dropped as we speak by kauP. He's going to have a castle a little bit replaced. Now the crossbows and the longbows with the flaming arrows upgrade, men-at-arms with elite, spearmen with elite, all the upgrades are in there for kauP. The forces of Szalami are closing in, that's a lot of Landsknechte, 27 to be precise, supported by 16 men-at-arms and some mangonels. Stone walls now coming in here for kauP. Szalami is adjusting his army to the north though, and you gotta wonder if that castle is going up. There's only 3 villagers building it, and that's a lot of Landsknechte that are coming in here. There is one mangonel on the battlefield for kauP. Looks like all the villagers are getting taken down. He needs to step up that mangonel and start opening fire on the Landsknechte. And you gotta be very careful. Mangonel is now opening fire here for kauP. First mangonel gets taken down from Szalami, but the bigger thing is the mangonel on the right side. This is exactly the one that can wipe out all those Landsknechte. And it looks like all the siege weapons from Szalami are going down. Crossbows, longbows, and the mangonel fire from kauP will take down most of the Landsknechte here. And I got some men-at-arms join the fun, but they're a little too late to the party, because now you got some crossbows that can focus them down. More men-at-arms on the battlefield, though. We got some men-at-arms out there as well. For kauP, he's trying to focus down the mangonel here. First Culverin appears on the battlefield just now for Szalami. He's trying to take down this mangonel. This mangonel has been working to great effect, you see. Volley after volley, it's decimating those men-at-arm numbers. And of course, with the support of the crossbows, you can hold them off for quite a long time. Keep still under construction, villagers getting beaten up by the men-at-arms. And we do have 4 trebuchets setting up here, courtesy of the Wingard Palace, to start taking down all those men-at-arms as well. Trebuchets with the shattering projectiles just wiping out the men-at-arms. Culverin opens fire. But it looks like the Culverin will be taken down before it's able to take down the first trebuchet here. 2 more mangonels join the party, but where is the escort? They're nowhere to be found, so 2 more mangonels will be taken down here. Nice volley from a new mangonel here, setting up right next to those walls. Szalami is trying to keep these walls open as long as possible, and the second volley also was quite successful on those men-at-arms. Szalami sitting at 47 military population as opposed to kauP sitting at 61. kaup's numbers are looking healthy here. Landsknechte once again making it to the battlefield, but as long as there is crossbows and mangonels, it's difficult for the Landsknechte to really use their two-handed weapons to great effect, simply because the mangonels will wipe them out so easily, and any kind of heavy support units, talk about men-at-arms, those would be taken down by the crossbows easily. That was a nice volley from Szalami, but in the end he wasn't able to take down any of the crossbows. Szalami sending in a couple more Culverins. He needs a good angle on those siege weapons. That's the thing that he needs the most. kauP is gonna get the castle up here up north, grabbing the bombarded emplacement on it. On the right side, everything is peaceful, although there is a window here for Szalami to break through, and he's going to use that window indeed. Trebuchets will set up on the hilltop, blast through the walls, supported by some mangonel fire even, and then the men-at-arms can just flood into the right side. Do note that kauP is controlling most of the big gold mines. This one, and this one. There is one that's still being taken by Szalami, and of course he's got 4 relics too in the Regnitz Cathedral, but he's gonna have to start thinking about fighting for that gold mine. Up north, stone walls are complete, trebuchets are opening fire here, as kauP himself is breaking through. Look at that flood of infantry, the Culverins were almost jumped on. Trebuchet fire, Mangonel fire now setting up though for Szalami, and that's a lot of Mangonel fire raining down on kauP's forces. He's flanking around with the cavalry, only a handful of knights survived the initial engagement, and judging by the amount of dead bodies on the battlefield, looks like the Mangonel fire worked to great effect here for Szalami. He's able to push back kauP, and now he's jumping on all those forces. Culverins open fire, take down one Trebuchet, and they're pushing deeper and deeper. Mangonel support not helping out to the infantry though, and that infantry is getting wiped out by the crossbows and the longbowmen, so are the Culverins potentially. The Mangonels were a little too behind here for Szalami, and he can't really wipe out this force. Now the man-at-arms jumping on the Culverins. One Culverin gets taken down, the second one gets finished off by the archers. Now with the Mangonel support though, you gotta wonder how long kauP is able to hold this. Because it's very dangerous to have all your crossbows in one cluster when your opponent now has 7 Mangonels out there, supported by some Culverins, and it looks like Szalami is going for a mass Mangonel army. 9 Mangonels on the battlefield for him, supported by 3 Trebuchets, 1 Culverin as well. kauP, currently at 200 population, 58 army, 142 villagers, so massive eco out there for him, but he's a little low on military population. That could be problematic. Mangonels now rolling up for Szalami. He's ready to siege those stone walls, and that could make things very interesting here. Because if kauP's base becomes open, suddenly Szalami could start trickling in cavalry into his eco. Szalami wants to get some stone walls up here, wants to make sure that the opponent is sort of unable to take down those Mangonels with springolds of his own, because having stone walls like that will block the line of sight of springolds. It will also make it much more difficult for a man-at-arms to jump on those siege weapons. The volleys come out. Looks like the central part of the stone wall is not finished, so the infantry can flood through. But is it a wise idea to flood through a narrow choke point when there are 9 Mangonels shooting you? Next volley wipes out quite a lot of infantry as well. A new volley comes out up north. All the forces of kauP are taken down, and in the middle, only a handful of crossbows remain, wiped out by the Mangonels in just a split second. Hand cannoneers now being added to the point mix here. But still, 2 Trebuchets are standing strong. Szalami once again wiping out all of those incoming forces with the 11 Mangonels he still has on the battlefield. It's a full Mangonel army. There are some prelates mixed in here as well to heal up those few men-at-arms that are joining the fun. And suddenly, kauP is holding those walls over there. He's setting his army up on top of those walls. That gives them some extra range, and that helps a tiny bit take down those men-at-arms. But, of course, you need to find an answer to all those Mangonels, because suddenly your gates are being broken through. kauP is down to 181 population. He's still making the Wingguard army, so he's gonna have Trebuchets. He's got the White Tower up front, but that's already being shelled. I think that's Trebuchet fire that's taking it down. Forward castle coming in for Szalami. He's not messing around. He's opening up those walls, and he's coming in for a deadly, deadly push. Look at that stream of red units getting across the map here. He just wants to open up these walls a little bit more. White Tower now opening up against those villagers and against those prelates even in the middle. Villagers, look at this, another castle from Szalami. He isn't messing around at all. Trebuchet fire now taking on the White Tower. Right next to it is the Wingguard Palace, 2 out of the 4 landmarks. And look at this, Abbey of the King starting TC. All 4 landmarks right next to each other. This is an absolutely perfect scenario for Szalami to take those down. Forces of kauP regrouping on the north. Mangonel fire not helping this time around for Szalami until now. Here comes the next volley, wipes out most of those forces from kauP, and kauP still doesn't have an answer to all that Mangonel fire. His army is dying faster than he can replenish them, because that many Mangonels will just wipe out anything that comes nearby. The infantry just getting absolutely torn to shreds, and I don't think that kauP is gonna be able to counterattack this one. Villagers being pulled from behind to try and take down those Mangonels. Looks like some cavalry get through. They actually do succeed taking down all the Mangonels here, so maybe there's a glimpse of hope for kauP here. The Trebuchet spawns right next to the castle because the Wingguard Palace is out there. Culverin also getting taken down. Momentum shrinking a little bit here for Szalami. He's down to 54 army population. There's of course still a problem here for kauP. That being the fact that there is castles in front of his base. Szalami is now trying to take down the Wingguard Palace here, not being repaired right now. 4 trebuchets, 5 trebuchets to be precise, setting up for kauP, trying to take down these castles over here. Once again, the infantry of kauP ready to jump on the trebuchets here. Forward town center. You could think that this is cheeky, but this is because he wants to get the emergency repairs aura out here. That's the idea for Szalami. He wants to have emergency repairs available for those castles. That's why he's building a town center right next to it. But by the time that TC goes up, I think most of these castles will be taken down. Second forward castle getting taken down. Szalami losing the trebuchets coming forward. Szalami is at 61 military population. kauP is sitting at 73 actually. More trebuchets are coming out. Look at that flood from the left side. 3 siege workshops continuously producing trebs, and there's the emergency repairs I was referring to. But with so much firepower coming out, you gotta wonder how long you can keep that castle alive. Szalami is going to attempt doing that though. He's got a bunch of villagers repairing it, emergency repairs still working to great effect, but it's almost running out, and now the next volley should be able to finish down this castle. No boiling oil on those keeps, which means that it's difficult for the keeps to take down those units, trying to kill the villagers underneath. All the villagers are going down. Szalami's next castle is about to get taken down, and suddenly kaup's got 200 population, Szalami at 60. Szalami's villager count isn't spectacular either. Many of the villagers were sacrificed trying to make these castles here, and he was basing his eco heavily on the relics, not so much on the villagers. So, frame villagers were units that he could sacrifice, as the cavalry swoops in, once again takes down one mangonel, might be able to take down the second one. Volleys do come out, so most of them are taken down before the second mangonel gets killed. Villagers were sent to repair the mangonel, but ultimately, they weren't able to save it. Crossbow numbers still steadily increasing on the battlefield though for kauP, and that's helping a lot, pushing back those men-at-arms. And now Szalami, if you look at his resource bank, Szalami's got a lot of food, but he's running out of gold. Remember that he didn't have access to mineable gold. He's got 4 relics, 2 of which are in the Regnitz Cathedral, and 1 a sacred site. So he's got a steady 900 gold per minute income. But kauP, of course, with the English farming eco, he's got a gigantic food income with the farming, and he's got a gigantic gold income, even without mining gold. Right now, kaup's got 27 gold miners on the right side, but even when that runs out, he's gonna have a great gold income from the farming. Szalami's force is getting pushed back in the middle, and now the death ball is rolling out. 4 trebuchets coming out, some more from the left. That's going to be combined 8 trebuchets moving towards the middle. That's the last foothold here for Szalami. That's all his siege weapon production. He's sending them to the right side, trying to burn through those walls, trying to get to that gold mine. There is still 1,500 gold on this gold mine. So you could easily capture this and get some more gold for yourself. Getting into the opponent's base is going to be a completely different story though. 8 trebuchets now setting up, army numbers looking very healthy for kauP here. Szalami's got 56 army population, and the concern for him is that most of that is mangonels or bombards. So he doesn't actually have anything, or at least not much, against all that cavalry. The mangonel fire is wiping out quite a lot of cavalry units here, but now they will jump on the mangonels, or they will just completely ignore them, as the mangonel fire is still decimating the ranks of the cavalry. Men-at-arms, once again, jumping on all the cavalry units out here. And with that, it seems like most of the mangonels are getting taken down. Cavalry was also sacrificed in the process, but of course, kauP is pushing forward more and more. On the right side, it looks like all the villagers were slain by the castle fire and the bombard tower fires, so Szalami isn't able to access that gold mine either. And part of the reason why he's in trouble is because, as I said, his opponent was able to grab a slightly more advantageous position. Because in this middle area, the foothold is slightly better for kauP. He's got a little bit more map control. It's like 55% to 45%, and the extra 10% that kauP has in terms of map control is giving him a ton more gold. Because he's able to control the key parts of the map as the crossbows get wiped out once again by the mangonels. Szalami is not done yet. Szalami is not done yet. He's got men-at-arms, he's got mangonels, and if he can wipe out all those crossbows, the men-at-arms will work to great effect. And they don't even cost a ton of gold. So you see, once again, the arbalest and the longbows will have to pull back here. Mangonels setting up once again to open fire. Only one mangonel on the battlefield for kauP. And the mangonels, they're pushing up relentlessly. Here comes the volley. Look at that! All the archers and the crossbowmen getting wiped out in just a blink of an eye. And the next volley is going to finish off the cavalry here. 4 mangonels army once again for Szalami as he's jumping on the trebuchets. Trebuchets, of course, having their own area effect. They'll be able to take down the mangonels here, given time. But now the trebs are being pushed back. Szalami is not giving up on this. Szalami is not giving up on this at all. He's at 154 population. On the other side, 200 still. 4 kauP, 80 military, 120 villagers. kauP still has a ton of gold to work with, though. This is the angle that Szalami has to secure, because this is an almost untouched large gold mine. I think that's the last large gold mine on the battlefield. In fact, it's the only gold mine that's left. Aside from this one on the right side, that's almost depleted. Resource income per minute, still better for kauP, of course, with the gold. He's still mining a tiny bit, but as you see, only 9 villagers on gold now for 1300 per minute. Most of that is coming from the farming. Szalami, regrouping once again in the middle. Mangonels ready to set up on all those cavalry units. The volley comes out once again. This is the danger that kauP is having. That many Mangonels could easily wipe out any army. Now, many of those Mangonels are damaged, so if he finds an angle to flank them, you see he could take down 2, 3, 4 Mangonels without any major problems. In fact, the Trebuchet fire is doing just that. Trebuchet is wiping out 2 Mangonels here, and once again, Szalami is forced back. He's got no Coverings. I do see some traders out here. He's sending in traders to the market in the middle. Interesting idea, given the fact that the opponent has that hill. And that's the thing here, as I said, Szalami has just a tiny bit less map control than the opponent, but the key parts of the map, the gold mines, even the sacred sites, those are controlled by kauP. Monastery coming in here for kauP. He wants to go for that sacred site. He wants to finish the game. He caps the sacred site on the north. He's capping the sacred site on the south as well. With the middle in his hands, he's going to have the sacred site countdown begin, and Szalami is going to be on a timer. Now, can Szalami neutralize the sacred site in the middle? Probably. Can he have enough momentum to wipe out the opponent from the game? I don't think so. Obviously, if the game goes very long, and kauP also runs out of mineable gold, things could change up. But this is the power of the English late game economy. Oh, poor trader. No. Well, that happened. Here come the man-at-arms. They're jumping on all the trebuchets. They don't really care. Looks like the Mangonels are also being pushed up. Here comes the cavalry flanking maneuver, though, from kauP. And this is something that Szalami wasn't expecting. Villagers are out there to repair the Mangonels, but suddenly a bunch of cavalry units show up and they will take down all the siege here from Szalami. There is nothing that protects those right now. Mangonel fire will try to help out and try to take down at least some cavalry, but all the siege is gone. And in the middle, Szalami's forces are also being cleaned up by tower fire, longbow fire, and crossbows as well. Szalami's population is now plummeting. He's at 143, and kauP is pushing forward once again. kauP has lost quite a lot of trebuchets here, but he's got the Wingard Palace to make them, so he can just keep spamming trebuchet after trebuchet with the Wingard Palace. In fact, the only thing that he needs for that is more population space, because he's 200 pop. 69 villagers, very nice on wood for Szalami. He's still choppity at the back of his base. 4,000 wood in the bank. I wonder what the wood price is, by the way. Yeah, it's 16. Very low wood price, as you would expect here. Basically, everybody has been selling wood. Food was also being sold quite heavily. You see the food price is also quite low. Stone count? That's pretty standard. No one was really buying or selling stone here, as now kauP is getting the trenches up a little bit more, dropping a couple of towers, and now I'm not exactly sure how Szalami is gonna push this. Looks like kauP is just setting up for the defense over here. 45 towers on the way. There is apparently elite spearman. For now it's just veteran, but it's probably going to be elite at some point for Szalami. He has gotten the riveted chainmail for them as well, so they'll be fully upgraded very soon. Villagers out here. Is there enough stone for Szalami for a castle? The answer is yes. Can he keep that castle alive? The answer is likely no, because there is going to be enough firepower here for kauP to wipe out 5 castles, to be honest. kauP is also sitting at 11,000 food casually, leveraging that English food eco. Here comes the castle. Mangonels, though, ready to set up, and they fire a volley into those units. Or do they fire the volley into the units? They fire on the gate. That would have been an opportunity for Szalami to fire a clean volley into the enemy units out there. Gates are being burned down. Mangonels are being pushed up. The towers don't really have a lot of emplacements on them, you see. No Springles, no Bombards just yet. Towers being set on fire, and now a scout army comes in. It's gonna be an army of scouts trying to snipe down those trebuchets, Mangonel fire. Not really focusing the enemy units, though. They are repositioning to do that. Cavalry coming in from the left side, Mangonel setting up opening fire against them. First wall is going to decimate those cavalry ranks, but most of them are still alive. Villagers dispatched to repair those siege weapons. Once again, it's going to be difficult for all those Mangonels to take down the cavalry. They're doing their best, but they're being surrounded, and I feel like this was the last hurrah of Szalami, because once again, kauP was able to flank the siege, and kauP was able to take down the Mangonels. And with that, Szalami's population, despite still being at 154, most of that is now just villagers. His army count is disturbingly low. We're seeing more and more spearmen appear on the battlefield, but longbows will be more than happy to fight those. Hand cannoneers will be more than happy to fight those. And I feel like all we need from kauP is just to take down this castle and start securing that sacred site. Szalami's army is disappearing from the battlefield. He doesn't have boiling oil either, so the knights can just jump on this castle. Of course, he's still protected back at home with stone walls, so that's going to make things a little easier here for him to defend. But being honest, his army count isn't looking spectacular. Now, he's able to mass a lot of spears, and he's not giving up on this. And mass spear and mangonel might actually be tricky to deal with here for kauP. Mangonel is once again trying to open fire on the knights. They're actually massed in between those siege workshops, so they take a ton of damage from the area damage of the mangonels. Many of the cavalry units already heavily damaged, and it looks like the cavalry counterattack is being wiped out here by Szalami. Is there a chance? Is there a chance for Szalami to turn this around? That's the question. Szalami crawling up to the mangonels. Remember, there is still a gold mine here that could be taken by him, so if he finds himself some momentum, things could easily shift in his favor. Mangonel fire once again coming out, wiping out the cavalry, but the prime target, of course, would be the longbows. The volleys are coming out. Longbows have to split up. For now, they're all alive. Next volley, ready to come out with those mangonels, and that's going to be quite a lot of infantry potentially getting killed by the mangonel fire. Looks like mangonels are being called back. Spearmen jumping on them. From the left side, another volley is coming out. That's a beautiful volley, wiping out quite a lot of hand cannoneers and the archers. Most of the spearmen are gone now, so you gotta be careful once again protecting those mangonels from the cavalry. Trebuchet is setting up against the siege weapons here, so they're trying to snap them down from a long distance. Spearmen guarding the mangonels relentlessly. A couple of springboards would be immensely helpful here for kauP, to be honest, because those would snipe down those mangonels quite easily from a distance. This being said, Szalami is back to 180 population, and for kauP, we're looking at 200. Boy, oh boy, is this getting into a crazy game. Mangonel fire once again wiping out the cavalry. On the left side, cavalry trying to jump on the siege weapons, but the changing composition is now showing for Szalami. He has the spearmen out, so the cavalry can no longer take down those siege weapons, and suddenly, those mangonels are working to great effect here. Another volley comes out, wiping out a lot of units in the middle. Trebuchets are still doing great things against those mangonels, though, and that's not something that Szalami has answered to. kauP captured the third sacred site, so now it's the sacred site countdown beginning, which, by the way, still hasn't been fixed, so devs, please. It started at around 4730, so that's what you'll have to think about. 5730 is going to be the target for kauP. Looks like the mangonels are still alive here, cavalry trying to take them down. Spearman numbers have been decimated though, mostly by these longbows that are coming in still. Resources are running dry for Szalami. He doesn't have food anymore. He can no longer spam spearmen continuously. kauP, on the other hand, has got a ton of resources to work with. He's just spamming unit after unit. And now the juice is running out for Szalami once again. He's losing those siege workshops, he's losing those siege weapons, and inch by inch, kauP is pushing forward. In the middle area, there is a market, so you could trade with that, the neutral market. And that technically could give you gold. For the English, there's no point trading with it because you, of course, have your own gold income from the farming. Speaking of which, that's still spectacular. So, kauP, only one villager mining gold. He's got 1600 food or gold per minute just from the farming. That's the power of the English on this map. If you get to late Imperial, boy oh boy is this Civ powerful with the eco that they have. Mangonels are now out for kauP, although only one of them. He's got a good mix of cavalry, archers, and siege weapons. He's slowly taking on the army of Szalami here. Meanwhile, for Szalami on the left side, he's massing some more infantry. He's got 42 villagers on food, but if he wants to keep spamming like that, he's gonna need way more villas on food. Lumberjacks not working to great efficiency here, if I may say so, but they keep chopping. Choppity choppity is the name of the game for Szalami here. kauP also pushing up with some stone walls here. He wants to just wall in that sacred site. Remember, there is about 8.5 minutes left to go on that counter, and Szalami's forces are not looking very healthy. He's massing a lot of infantry. Now, you gotta decide if you're kauP here. Are you gonna just try to blast your way through the walls, or maybe you do something cheeky, go for a siege tower, try to get on top of those walls here? You could justify trying to go siege tower on the walls with crossbows and hand cannoneers, because being on walls gives a lot of bonuses to ranged units, like longbows, hand cannoneers, or crossbowmen. So you could technically justify trying to siege tower your way up, but I don't think that he will. Castle on the right side is getting taken down, so are the houses. So I wonder if Szalami is gonna get housed here after this. Depends on how many houses he has. Szalami's got 66 idols as well. What are these villagers up to? What are these villagers up to? I don't know, they're dancing or something. Practicing some marching formations. These are all the lumberjacks that Szalami has. Oh no! Szalami! How could you do that? How could you do that? Look at that sacrifice. It's like a human sacrifice here. Apparently, Szalami isn't really concerned about losing those houses out there. kauP once again getting some stone walls up here. Look at the map. Just all the blue dots around there. There's about 7 minutes left to go. I really wonder what Szalami is doing. The new villagers are being sent back home. He's floating a ton of wood. Why are they... Szalami seems to be a little confused here. Yeah, he's breaking out on the north. Might be a kamikaze push towards this side. I can imagine that. Now, he's being walled in from the left. Here comes the infantry. That's a lot of Landsknechte. That's a lot of spearmen. And even quite a lot of men-at-arms incorporated in there. On the front gate, though, the enemies are breaking in trebuchets, shelling the buildings. And you gotta just keep in mind that at this point, kauP could go for the landmarks. Here comes the infantry. They do sneak past the stone wall builders. They completely ignore them, so kauP is gonna get those stone walls up. What's the idea? It's gonna be a landmark snipe, right? It has to be a landmark snipe attempt. The monastery went down, so 2 relics are now dropped out by Szalami. He's got all the landmarks still alive, but I think it's gotta be a landmark snipe. It's gotta be a landmark snipe, but kauP is waiting for this one. He's getting the stone walls back on track. There's still an opening on the other side. Oh, no. Can he get this up? I think he's gonna get it up. He's gonna get it up. Szalami is hoping for it. He's getting some siege workshops going. He's getting some siege workshops going. It's a race towards the base because Szalami wants to take down those landmarks. He knows that all 4 of those are right next to each other. So if you ever get in, you have a chance. If you ever get in, you have a chance here. Bombards are now coming out. As weird as it sounds, like a siege tower could make sense, because then you can drop off some of the infantry on the walls and then get into the opponent's base to sort of stop the villagers from repairing those walls. On the other side, the forces of kauP are flooding into the eco of Szalami. Szalami is going to lose everything here. The question is, does he have a window to snipe those landmarks with? The bombards are just now coming out. Mangonels are being sent back, though. Mangonel fire wiping out a lot of infantry here from Szalami. He's trying to fight off that group of archers, but every moment he spends fighting over there is one less moment spent taking down this keep. And now I feel like kauP is realizing what's going on. He knows fully well that it's all about stopping this last hurrah, especially because inside the opponent's base he's burning down the landmarks. kauP's got this. Szalami tried a last push here, but that's not going to work. There's one bombard out here that's trying to take down the gate. The cavalry is going to jump on this, and with that, the gate will survive. There's no chance for Szalami's force to get in there, and the mangonel fire will wipe out with whatever left is from his army. kauP takes game number 1, and holy potatoes, what a game this was. Very back and forth, very grindy and long. I think, while we haven't seen anything cheesy like siege towers or any other shenanigans, you get the feel why some people love Arena in Age of Empires 2. Obviously, the 2 games are different, but this is a whole different map than anything else that you have in the game. It has its own subculture, and not gonna lie, this was a spectacular game to look at. 1,000 kills for kauP, 870 losses for Szalami. Looking at the resources, 122,000 food gathered by kauP. Gold count was actually fairly comparable, which is somewhat surprising given the fact that, you know, Szalami seemed to have been out of gold for a long, long time. He had the Regnitz Cathedral with 2 relics and 2 relics in a monastery as well. But on the other side, kauP had the sacred sites for quite a long time, and kauP, of course, had the English farming with the enclosures. Average villager idle time coming out at 46 seconds per villager for kauP. On the other side, 2 minutes. Of course, part of that was increased for Szalami by the fact that his villagers got idled at the end. And look at that back and forth game. Szalami's villager count was lower for most of the time, but with HRE that's not uncommon. But the military count, those swings in those battles, many cases, kauP got his army wiped out, and then he just got back on track with the entire resource bank that he had spent on this. But of course, he had such a great resource bank given the fact that his opponent, Szalami, was playing HRE and he himself was playing with the English. Ultimately, by the second half of the game, the military population was better for kauP. He really leveraged the fact that he had an absolute juggernaut economy with the English, 40,000 more food, although he was behind by 30,000 food. But the gold counts and the food counts are probably the most relevant one, and kauP having 40,000 more food to burn is definitely helpful.